Picture this. One leader helms a colossal $3.7 trillion economy, an economic powerhouse that just, for the record, successfully landed a spacecraft on the moon. Not too shabby, right? The other, he controls one of the most critical geopolitical choke points on the planet, the vital artery between Europe and the Middle East, and he's selling combat drones faster than Amazon can ship your latest Prime order. And it leaves us with one burning question. Who really is winning this high-stakes race for global influence? Let's get straight to it. On one side, you have Narendra Modi, the architect of a resurgent India, a man who desperately wants the world to not just acknowledge, but chant, "Made in India." He envisions a future where the globe lines up for India's generic medicines, for its cutting-edge semiconductors, and yes, even for its ancient spiritual wisdom. It's a vision of economic might intertwined with cultural soft power, a nation ready to claim its rightful place on the world stage, not just as a consumer, but as a global provider and thought leader. Then there's Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, his ambition to hear the old Ottoman call to prayer echoing once more, not just within Turkey's borders, but stretching from the historic streets of Sarajevo all the way to the ancient Silk Road cities of Samarkand. He dreams of Turkish contractors, emboldened by their nation's renewed spirit, cementing new skylines across continents, extending Ankara's influence brick by concrete brick. It's a blend of historical nostalgia and modern economic expansion, a powerful narrative designed to reclaim a perceived past glory. Both of these formidable leaders, despite their vastly different cultural and historical backdrops, share a fundamental truth. They need cold, hard cash. They need reliable allies. And perhaps most crucially, they need a compelling national story. A narrative so potent it can drown out any domestic noise, any dissent, any economic hiccup. And make no mistake, both Modi and Erdoğan are pouring 10-figure sums into achieving these goals. We're not talking about pocket change here. We're talking about massive investment in infrastructure, defense, diplomacy, and cultural projection. So, stick with me and let's unwrap this geopolitical gift and unpack the scorecard, shall we? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a tale of two leaders. It's a contest of wallets and weapons, scale and speed, permanence and agility. And the first round of this clash begins right here. Welcome to Empire Secrets. On paper, India's economy dwarfs Turkey's, standing at roughly 5 times larger in size. That's a huge figure, indicative of India's sheer scale and potential. However, the story isn't quite so simple. Despite this immense economic size, India's per capita income still lags behind even smaller nations like Albania. This disparity highlights the monumental challenge Modi faces, translating macroeconomic growth into tangible prosperity for every single one of India's 1.4 billion citizens. His pitch to the world and to his own people is one of scale plus stability. It's about leveraging India's demographic dividend and its democratic institutions to offer a reliable, massive market and stable investment environment. New Delhi isn't just talking the talk, it's walking the walk, investing an eye-watering $1.4 trillion into transforming its infrastructure. We're talking about an ambitious overhaul, a sprawling network of new roads to connect vast distances, modern ports to facilitate global trade, the rapid rollout of 5G technology to leapfrog into the digital future, and crucially, the development of chip fabrication plants, a direct challenge to global supply chain vulnerabilities. This isn't merely about domestic development, it's a calculated invitation to the West, a clear signal. Come, invest in India, and let us be your hedge against an over-reliance on China. It's a desperate move to position India as a reliable, democratic alternative in global manufacturing and technology. Now, let's pivot to Turkey. While India grapples with the complexities of scale, Turkey has been wrestling with severe economic headwinds. The Turkish lira has shed a dramatic 90% of its value since 2016, a precipitous decline that has hit ordinary citizens hard and fueled inflation. Yet amidst this economic turbulence, Ankara's military-industrial complex is not just surviving, it's booming. This isn't a quiet expansion, it's a roaring success story. Revenue from the sale of Bayraktar drones, a name that has become synonymous with modern conflict, along with frigates and armoured vehicles, skyrocketed from a modest $248 million in 2002 to an impressive $3.2 billion just last year. This isn't just growth, it's an explosion in capabilities and market presence. So what does this tell us about their respective approaches? Modi, with his focus on long-term infrastructure and democratic stability, is essentially buying long-term trust. He's building relationships based on shared values, sustained economic growth, and the promise of a predictable future. Erdoğan, on the other hand, is selling you a drone today and a maintenance contract tomorrow. His approach is more transactional, more immediate, and incredibly agile. He leans on a burgeoning defense industry to project might, secure reach, and generate revenue, often in regions where traditional powers are hesitant or slow to act. It's a contrast between building enduring partnerships and seizing immediate opportunities, between strategic patience and tactical agility. Both strategies have their merits, both have their cost. And that's the real tension. One leader is pouring concrete for the next 50 years, while the other is cashing in contracts that could change tomorrow's battlefield. It's a clash between building permanence and selling urgency, and the scoreboard is far from settled. When it comes to international diplomacy, Modi and Erdoğan are playing very different games, each with their own unique set of rules and alliances. Take Modi, for instance. We saw him hugging President Biden at the White House, a warm embrace symbolizing a deepening partnership between the world's oldest and largest democracies. This wasn't just a photo op, it was followed by a comprehensive 29,000-word roadmap with Paris, outlining extensive cooperation across defense, technology, and space. These aren't minor engagements, these are significant, detailed commitments with established Western powers. Yet, in a masterclass of multi-alignment, Modi then turned around and walked into a BRICS summit the very same week, sitting comfortably alongside leaders from Russia, China, and other emerging economies. What this means? It's strategic autonomy, Indian style. India is adeptly navigating a complex geopolitical landscape, refusing to be pigeonholed into any single bloc. Instead, seeking to maximize its options and authority by engaging with everyone who matters. It's a testament to India's growing confidence and its pragmatic approach to foreign policy, ensuring that it maintains robust relationships across the spectrum, from Washington to Moscow, from Paris to Beijing. Erdoğan's approach, meanwhile, is less about multi-alignment and more about a delicate, often defiant balancing act. He's NATO's wayward tenant, a critical member of the Western alliance who frequently tests its boundaries and patience. On one hand, he hosts millions of Russian tourists, a vital source of revenue for Turkey's economy, while simultaneously providing refuge to hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees fleeing the conflict that Russia initiated. Then there's the influx of Qatari money, cementing ties with Gulf states, even as Turkey maintains complex relations with other regional players. This isn't just diplomacy, it's a high-wire act, a constant negotiation of competing interests and allegiances. When the world desperately needed grain out of Odessa during the Ukraine conflict, it wasn't Delhi that received the call, it was Ankara. Turkey, using its unique geographical position and its complex relationships with both sides, brokered the crucial Black Sea Grain Initiative, a lifeline for global food security. Point 1 for geography, certainly. Turkey's indispensable role as a crossroads, or perhaps a linchpin, between East and West is undeniable. Yet, when the G20, that powerful conclave of the world's leading economies, needed to forge a consensus statement on Ukraine, a task that seemed almost impossible given the diverse interests at the table, it was Modi who ultimately got the credit. India, under Modi's leadership, managed to navigate the diplomatic minefield and secure a unified declaration, showcasing its growing clout and its ability to find common ground where others struggled. Point 1 for diplomacy, a clear win for India's burgeoning role as a global mediator. These contrasting scenarios highlight the different kinds of might these leaders wield. Erdogan's authority often stems from his geography and his willingness to deal with contentious actors, while Modi's strength increasingly comes from India's growing economic weight and its ability to broker consensus on the global stage. And that's the duel in plain sight. One man holds the map, the other holds the microphone. Geography may grant Turkey leverage, but India is proving that in the right moment, words can carry as much force as borders. Beyond hard might and economic muscle, both Modi and Erdogan understand the profound influence of soft power, the ability to attract and persuade through culture, values, and foreign policy. And they're both masters of their respective domains. Let's look at India's expanding soft power. It currently holds an impressive 75,000 Afghan students on scholarships, a quiet but impactful investment in future generations and regional goodwill. Then there's Vaccine Maitri, or Vaccine Friendship, a truly monumental initiative that saw India ship over 300 million COVID-19 vaccine jabs to more than 100 nations worldwide. This wasn't just humanitarian aid, it was a powerful display of India's pharmaceutical capacity and its commitment to global public health, polishing its image as a responsible and capable global actor. And in a more symbolic yet equally potent move, India recently unveiled a towering 67-meter statue of a medieval king in Mumbai. This wasn't just an artistic endeavor, it was a deliberate statement, a reminder to the world that empire building and grand historical narratives are not exclusively Western patents. It's a reclamation of India's rich past and a projection of its future ambitions. Beyond these headline initiatives, India's soft power is also woven into the global fabric through its vibrant Bollywood film industry, the widespread practice of yoga and Ayurveda, and the immense cultural reach of its diaspora. Modi's storyline, in essence, is that of a future tech guru, a leader guiding a nation that blends ancient wisdom with modern innovation, offering solutions to global challenges from healthcare to digital transformation. Now shift your gaze to Turkey. Erdogan's soft power strategy is equally robust, though distinctly different. Consider TRT Arabic, the Turkish state broadcaster, which boasts a staggering 11 million subscribers. This isn't just news, it's a carefully curated platform for projecting Turkish perspectives and cultural narratives across the Arab world. And then there are the Turkish soap operas, powerful cultural exports that dominate Ramadan ratings from the bustling cities of Lahore to the vibrant markets of Lagos. These dramas, often featuring themes of family, love, and tradition, resonate deeply with audiences, creating a powerful emotional connection and subtly promoting Turkish culture and values. Furthermore, Turkey's Directorate of Religious Affairs, Diyanet, actively funds and constructs mosques in places like Kosovo, which often stand as gleaming neo-Ottoman time capsules. These aren't just places of worship, they are architectural statements, physical manifestations of Turkey's historical and cultural ties, projecting a modern yet historically rooted image of Turkish reach. Turkish Airlines, with its extensive global network, also serves as a potent soft power tool, connecting continents and fostering cultural exchange. Erdogan's positioning, in sharp contrast to Modi's, is that of the guardian of Ummah, the global Muslim community. He frames Turkey as a protector of Islamic values and a leader within the Muslim world, a storyline that resonates strongly with millions. Both leaders are, in their own ways, selling nostalgia, but they're offering vastly different flavors. Modi's is a nostalgia for a powerful, spiritual, and innovative India, while Erdogan's is a nostalgia for the grandeur and authority of the Ottoman Empire. Both are incredibly effective at mobilizing their respective audiences and extending their reach far beyond their borders. And here's the paradox of persuasion. Modi sells tomorrow through technology. Erdogan sells yesterday through memory. One markets progress, the other markets heritage. And both are cashing in influence across a world that listens to stories as much as statistics. While Modi and Erdogan might seem to operate in separate spheres, Their geopolitical ambitions and ideological stances inevitably lead to friction, creating flashpoints where their interests directly collide. These aren't always direct military confrontations, but rather strategic maneuvers and diplomatic sparring that reveal the depth of their rivalry. Take Kashmir, for instance. This historically contested region is a perennial point of contention. Erdoğan, positioning himself as a vocal champion of Muslim causes globally, has made it a point to raise the issue at nearly every United Nations General Assembly, often criticizing India's policies. This isn't just rhetoric, it's a deliberate attempt to internationalize the issue and put pressure on India. How does Modi respond? With characteristic diplomatic precision. India has strategically invited Turkey's regional rivals, Armenia, Cyprus, and more recently Greek Cyprus, for high-level visits to Delhi. This isn't a coincidence, it's a clear signal, a tit-for-tat move designed to counter Erdoğan's criticisms by strengthening ties with nations that have their own historical grievances and strategic rivalries with Turkey. It's a sophisticated game of geopolitical chess where alliances are forged and exploited to gain an advantage. Another significant flashpoint is Nagorno-Karabakh. Here, Turkey's support for Azerbaijan is unequivocal and highly impactful. Ankara has not only provided diplomatic backing, but also supplied Azerbaijan with its highly effective Bayraktar drones, which proved decisive in the conflict against Armenia. This is a clear demonstration of Turkey's agile force projection in action. India, on the one hand, while maintaining a more reserved public stance, has quietly sent humanitarian aid to Armenia, signaling its solidarity. Furthermore, there are reports of India contemplating radar exports to Armenia, a move that would significantly bolster Armenia's defense capabilities and directly counter Turkish presence in the region. This isn't just about two small nations in the Caucasus, it's a proxy battle reflecting the broader competition between India and Turkey for partnerships and regional footholds. And then there's the scramble for resources and influence in Africa, particularly concerning gold. Turkish firms have established a significant foothold, controlling an estimated 2/3 of Sudan's gold processing plants. This isn't just about economic gain, it's about securing critical resources and extending Turkey's political and financial reach across the continent. India's approach in Africa, while also focused on economic engagement, takes a different tack. Indian firms are actively involved in running hospitals and establishing IT corridors in countries like Ethiopia. This signifies a contrast in development models. Turkey's focus often leads towards resource extraction and defense sales, while India emphasizes capacity building, healthcare, and technological development. They rarely meet on the same block, true, but the neighborhood, particularly in strategically vital regions like the Caucasus and Africa, definitely feels the heat of their indirect yet palpable competition. These flashpoints underscore that their rivalry isn't merely theoretical, it has tangible, real-world consequences for regional stability and global dynamics. That's the reality check. These two leaders don't need tanks facing off to collide. Every drone deal, every diplomatic handshake, every hospital contract in a distant capital becomes another move in a contest where influence is the weapon and the battleground is everywhere. In the modern age, a nation's diaspora isn't just a group of citizens living abroad. It's a powerful and often underestimated asset, a living, breathing ATM of both financial resources and political influence. Both Modi and Erdoğan have recognized this and are leveraging their respective diasporas, albeit in fundamentally different ways. Let's start with India. The Indian diaspora is truly a global phenomenon, with an estimated 9 million Indian expats spread across every continent. These individuals, working in diverse fields from Silicon Valley tech to Gulf oil fields, collectively wire home an astounding $100 billion a year. Just let that sink in for a moment. $100 billion. This figure isn't just large, it's transformative. To put it into perspective, it's more than India's entire software export revenue, a sector often hailed as the backbone of its modern economy. These remittances are a crucial lifeline for millions of families, fueling domestic consumption, investment, and economic growth. They represent a steady, reliable stream of foreign currency that helps stabilize India's economy and reduce its dependence on more volatile forms of foreign investment. Modi's strategy here is largely to bank the check. He encourages this flow of remittances, celebrates the achievements of the diaspora, and often appeals to their sense of national pride. But the primary focus is on the economic benefits. It's a massive, decentralized financial pipeline that contributes significantly to India's national wealth, a testament to the hard work and success of its global citizens. Turkey's diaspora, while smaller in number at around 5 million expats, is primarily concentrated in Europe, particularly Germany, France, and the Netherlands. They also send home a respectable $22 billion annually, but Ankara's primary focus isn't just on the remittances. Erdoğan's government actively uses these diaspora communities as potent voting blocs. Through various cultural and religious organizations and direct appeals from Turkish officials, these expat communities are often mobilized to support Erdoğan's political agenda, both within Turkey and in their host countries. This turns integration debates in European nations into foreign policy levers for Ankara. For example, issues around dual nationality, religious freedoms, or even cultural identity within European countries can become politicized and weaponized to rally diaspora support for Erdoğan's vision. It allows Ankara to project its political reach into the heart of Europe, influencing elections and policy debates. Erdoğan, in essence, cashes the ballot. He sees his diaspora not just as a source of funds, but as a strategic political force, a constituency that can be activated to further Turkey's interests and enhance its own domestic legitimacy. The contrast is stark. Modi primarily leans on his diaspora for economic capital, while Erdoğan skillfully harnesses his for political capital, demonstrating two very different yet equally effective ways of turning global citizens into national assets. Here's the twist. India's expats wire money. Turkey's expats swing votes. One keeps the economy humming, the other keeps a leader in power, proving that in the 21st century, citizens abroad can shape the destiny of nations back home. Beneath the headlines of diplomatic visits and drone sales, a silent yet seismic battle is unfolding over global connectivity and trade routes, a contest for the arteries of commerce that will shape the 21st century. These are the money moves that you might have missed, but that are fundamentally redrawing the geopolitical map. India, in a bold and ambitious stroke, unveiled the Middle East-India-Europe Corridor, or IMEC. This isn't just another trade route, it's a monumental $20 billion rail ship corridor designed with a specific calculated purpose, to bypass both the Suez Canal and, crucially, Turkey. The vision is to create a seamless, efficient and faster trade link connecting India to the Arabian Peninsula and Europe, reducing transit times and costs. This project, announced at the G20 summit in Delhi, is a direct challenge to existing maritime routes and a clear attempt to establish India as a central hub in the new global supply chain. It's a geopolitical power play aimed at enhancing India's economic integration with the West and the Middle East, while simultaneously diminishing the importance of traditional choke points. The implications are enormous, potentially reshaping logistics and trade flows for decades to come. And it's backed by major players including the US, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Ankara's response was swift and equally ambitious, demonstrating Erdoğan's characteristic agility. Turkey accelerated its own massive infrastructure initiative, the Iraq Development Road. This project envisions a comprehensive rail and highway link stretching from the Persian Gulf through Iraq all the way to southern Turkey. And it's not just a Turkish endeavor. It's backed by a hefty $17 billion in Gulf investment, signaling significant regional buy-in. The goal here is equally deliberate: to establish Turkey as a vital gateway for trade between the Gulf, Iraq, and Europe, effectively creating its own alternative to existing routes and enhancing its regional economic clout. It's a direct countermove to IMEC. an assertion of Turkey's indispensable role as regional connectivity. The crucial difference between these two titanic projects, at least for now, lies in their stage of development. India's IMEC, while generating immense buzz and strategic excitement, is still largely on PowerPoint, a grand vision awaiting full implementation. It requires massive coordination among multiple nations and faces significant logistical and financial hurdles. Turkey's Iraq development road, on the other hand, has just broke ground. This means that while IMEC is still being planned and discussed, Ankara is already laying concrete and tracks, demonstrating a faster, more decisive execution. This disparity in pace highlights the different operational speeds of these two leaders and their nations. One is building a grand multilateral vision. The other is forging ahead with more regionally focused yet equally impactful project. This isn't just about trade, it's about control over global arteries, about who dictates the flow of goods and reach. So yes, keep your eyes on this, because the race to build the next generation of global trade routes is well underway, and the stakes are billions of dollars and decades of positioning. This is the power play in motion. Modi drafts the blueprint, Erdoğan lays the brakes. One bets on tomorrow's corridor, the other on today's road, and both know that whoever owns the routes owns the rules. In a fragmented and hyper-connected world, global sway isn't a single trophy. It's a mosaic of perceptions, shaped by demographics, cultural affinities, and the relentless churn of information. So who's actually buying whose storyline in this high-stakes competition between Modi and Erdoğan? A fascinating insight comes from a 2023 Pew Research Center survey, which asked people in 24 countries whom they trusted more on world affairs. The results offered a nuanced picture. Modi edged out Erdoğan, with 54% of respondents under 35 expressing more trust in the Indian leader, compared to 38% for Erdoğan. This suggests that among younger, globally connected demographics, Modi's storyline of a modern, democratic and technologically advanced India, often seen as a counterweight to China, resonates more strongly. It speaks to the appeal of India's economic potential, its democratic framework, and its growing soft reach in the digital age. However, the picture flips dramatically when you look at the Muslim world. Here, Erdoğan's trust ratings surge, often surpassing Modi's. His consistent advocacy for Muslim causes, his strong stance on issues like Palestine and Kashmir, and his cultivation of a guardian of the Ummah persona resonate deeply with Muslim populations across various countries. His blend of religious identity and assertive foreign policy finds a receptive audience among those who feel marginalized or unheard by traditional global powers. The crucial lesson here is that global authority is no longer a single scorecard. It's sliced into demographic silos. There isn't one universal metric for success. Instead, clout is increasingly targeted, tailored, and delivered through specific channels. Think about it. A young professional in a Western capital might be swayed by India's tech prowess and democratic credentials, while a community leader in a Muslim-majority nation might be drawn to Erdoğan's rhetoric and his perceived leadership of the Islamic world. This isn't about broad, sweeping narratives anymore. It's about reaching specific audiences, often through targeted WhatsApp groups, social media campaigns, and culturally resonant messaging. Both leaders understand this modern reality implicitly, shaping their messaging to resonate with specific segments of the global population. It's a recognition that in the 21st century, sway is not just about who has the biggest economy or the most weapons, but who can tell the most magnetic story to the right people at the right moment. So when we tally up the scorecards, what do we see? We're not comparing apples to apples, but rather two distinct yet incredibly effective blueprints for global sway. Modi's long game is a strategic masterpiece built on several foundational pillars. First, there's sheer scale. India's massive population and burgeoning economy are undeniable forces. Then, demographics, a young, vibrant workforce poised to drive future growth. Crucially, there are digital public goods, India's pioneering efforts in developing open-source digital infrastructure like Aadhaar and UPI. Erdoğan's, on the other hand, is a brilliant short game, characterized by agile force projection. He uses Turkey's unique choke point geography, controlling vital maritime passages and land bridges, transforming it into a geopolitical advantage that demands attention and concessions. And perhaps most impressively, he possesses an uncanny ability to change the topic in 24 hours, deflecting criticism, shifting scripts, and keeping adversaries off balance with rapid diplomatic maneuvers or unexpected policy shifts. He's playing for immediate clout, for tactical wins that solidify his position and project Turkish might. Who ultimately wins? Well, if the 21st century rewards nations of immense size, vast demographics, and a stable long-term vision, then Modi is clearly in the lead. However, if the future instead rewards nimble middle powers that can gatekeep continents, project force selectively, and adapt quickly to shifting geopolitical currents, then Erdoğan is absolutely your guy. Here's the thing, they aren't boxing in the same ring. They're playing entirely different sports with different rules and different objectives. And in this increasingly complex global order, both strategies are paying dividends. They're just paying different bankers, so to speak. One prioritizes scale and foundational strength. The other prioritizes speed and tactical impact. It's a fascinating, high-stakes geopolitical drama unfolding before our eyes. So, place your bets in the comments. In the race for the 21st century authority, are you backing scale or speed? And if you want front row seats to the next global showdown, don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Empire Secrets. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and see you in the next one. Your desire, your empire.